Hey, it's Sarah. I'm really glad that you came back. So, as always, think of my voice as a light in the dark tonight. And I'm not here to fix anything. I'm not here to explain. I'm just here to sit with you for a few minutes in whatever it is you're carrying. And I want to talk tonight about something that most people never say out loud. Not because it isn't real, because saying it out loud feels like it might confirm it. It's the story that lives in the basement, the one that's been there longer than most of your relationships, longer than most of your achievements, longer than the version of yourself you show the world. It's the one that says so quietly and consistently, running in the background of almost everything, there is something wrong with me. And if that landed, if something in you just went very still, you're exactly who I'm here with tonight. You have built an extraordinary life on top of that story. I want you to know that I see that. The competence, the showing up, the way you hold things together for yourself, for the people around you, with a consistency that most people can't maintain. And you have done remarkable things, carrying a weight that nobody else could see. And none of it has quieted the voice. That's the part nobody warns you about. You think if I just accomplish enough, build enough, prove enough, the voice will have to admit it was wrong. But it doesn't work that way. The voice doesn't respond to evidence. It just moves the goalpost. And it finds the next thing that isn't finished yet, or the next place you fell short, or the next angle from which you can be found insufficient. And you are so tired of running that race. I know you are. I can feel it. The exhaustion you're carrying isn't from doing too much. It's from trying to outrun a story that started before you were old enough to question whether it was true. So can I tell you what I think it actually feels like to live with this? I think it feels like performing in a play where you wrote the script and you know every line and you've been doing it for years. And you are still, every single night, waiting for the moment someone in the audience stands up and says, I see what you're doing. I know what's underneath. And I think it feels like being unable to just receive something good, a compliment, an acknowledgement, a moment where someone chooses you clearly. And instead of landing in it, something in you immediately starts looking for why it doesn't quite count, why it's temporary, why it's based on the version of you they can see and not the one you're certain would change things if they could. And I think it feels like a really specific kind of loneliness, and not the loneliness of being unseen, the loneliness of actually being seen and still not being able to feel it. Because the part of you that could receive it is behind the story, and the story gets there first every damn time. It's such an incredibly lonely way to move through a life, to be surrounded by people who are trying to reach you and not able to let them land, not because you don't want them to, because the story keeps intercepting the signal. So here's what I want you to hear tonight. That story, the one in the basement, the one that says there is something fundamentally wrong with you, was not something you arrived at on your own. It was handed to you in a very early, wordless way that the most important things get handed to children, not through what was said, but through what was withheld. Through the moments when you brought your full self into the room and something in the environment responded in a way that taught you that part, that one right there. Keep that part out of sight. You were not defective. You were a child trying to make sense in a world that wasn't always able to make room for all of you. And the only explanation available to a child is the problem must be me. It wasn't you. It was never you. The people who couldn't hold all of you were limited in their capacity. That is real and it matters, and it is not the same thing as a verdict on your worth. Their limits were not your defect. They were just limits. Human, ordinary, unexamined limits that got mistaken for a measurement of you. And you've been living inside that mistaken measurement for a very long time. You are not someone with a defect you've been successfully hiding. You are someone who was handed a story about themselves before they were old enough to fact check it. And I'm not going to tell you tonight that the story is gone. And I'm not going to tell you that naming it dissolves it. It doesn't work that fast. The story is old and it moves quickly, and it will probably show up again tomorrow in some form that you might recognize. But I want to offer you something small tonight. The fact that the story has been there a long time does not make it true. Age is not evidence. Persistence is not proof. Something can be old and familiar and feel completely real and still be a story. Still be something that was handed to you rather than something you discovered. Now, you don't have to dismantle it tonight, and you don't have to have a different relationship with it by morning. You just have to be willing to sit here and let it be a story. Not the truth, not a verdict, not a permanent feature of what and who you are. Just a story. One that was written for you by people who were doing the best they could and still got something very important wrong. You are allowed to write a different one. So I'm going to leave the lantern right here next to you, and you don't have to figure anything out tonight. Just sit and know that you are not alone, and try to get some rest.